I had a lot of digestive issues, but so I had gas, bloating, fatigue that would kind of wax and wane, but never really feeling energetic. Extremely uncomfortable situation.
Hey everyone, today we are interviewing Lorrie, who's been struggling with Hashimoto's, severe hormonal problems, including endometriosis, painful periods, headaches. She's also struggled being cold all the time with severe Raynauds and pain on her hands and her feet. Added on top of this is tons of digestive issues and lots of kissing frogs with different doctors. And she just finished our 2-month Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally program. And I can't wait to see where she is now. I'm Maggie, UMD, and I am a functional and holistic medicine physician and the creator of the Transform Protocol. And if you want to learn more about the program, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally, join our Facebook group by the same name, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. There should be a link above or below this video for you to join. And if you're watching from YouTube, make sure you take a second, just give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. That'd be really great to help us with the YouTube algorithm. So Lorrie, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, I am Lorrie Childs. I had my first diagnosis at the age of 20 of endometriosis and just went the conventional route. And then 4 years ago, at the age of 45, I got the diagnosis of Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And that was a recognized autoimmune condition. It started my path down a rabbit hole. And that has finally, I feel like, ended with Maggie's Transform Autoimmune program.
So diagnosis, I'm hearing you mentioned the endometriosis. So a lot of hormonal hell, and we know hormonal hell and Hashi's is totally linked. You know, it's not just Hashi's.
And also around the same time as diagnosis, prediabetes came up that we were trying to figure out because I actually lost weight and then developed prediabetes.
And then the Raynauds, not to even mention living in Oregon with Raynauds.
Yeah.
I feel like we're soul sisters. Those are all my diagnoses.
Yes. And Raynauds in a cold, rainy place is not fun.
Exactly. So what do you do for a living?
My big unpaid job is I'm a mom of 2. And my paid job is part-time work in a local natural foods deli department. And I also...
Are you at New Seasons in Lake Oswego? That's right. You mentioned that.
New Seasons. I went to culinary school, so that still use my culinary skills, which has definitely come in handy now that I am trying to eat the rainbow and gluten-free, dairy-free.
So little birdie told me that in the nutritional calls with your culinary background, you've been a big help to your pod and to everybody else during the nutritional calls. Am I right?
Yes, you are correct. That is kind of one of the things that I have as a goal, to do more of that. It's kind of reignited that passion now that I have more energy to do the things that used to bring me joy. So,
you know, you've been posting time because this, while during the taping of this interview, we're actually in the end of a holiday hormone challenge in our Facebook group. You have been playing out a SHIT ton with all your cruciferous vegetable posts and food posts. So I want to thank you. If you guys haven't checked out Lorrie's recipes and food porn that she's been posting, you guys should check it out in the Facebook group, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally.
I need to take more pictures. That would probably be helpful. Cruciferous vegetables have been a game changer. You know, and being more intentional with making sure I'm getting them in every single day. You know, before I'd be like, oh, we had broccoli a couple times this week. Now, you know, is it kale, is it broccoli, arugula, cauliflower, all the things. We have variety now.
So what was life like 2 months ago before you joined our program?
I had a lot of digestive issues. So it would not be unusual. I tended more towards the diarrhea end. So you know, I just never knew when I went to the bathroom if it was oftentimes was extremely uncomfortable situation.
So you're planning your life around bathrooms pretty much.
Yeah. Just making sure that there was one close enough.
Yeah.
Because it would start with, you know, sometimes you're going, oh, is it just gas? And then, nope.
Surprise.
And having, that was the other thing, gas and bloating a ton. I don't really have that now. But so I had gas, bloating, diarrhea issues, fatigue that would kind of wax and wane, but never really feeling energetic. I work 3 days a week, and it's just been 4 years of my first day off was usually totally a recovery day. You know, I wouldn't really have anything much planned because I would need to recover and get my energy back. And I'm not needing that anymore. Today is the start of my weekend and I feel great. And I woke up early with my husband on my own and made breakfast. And so
you're telling me that it's just in a matter of the last 2 months.
Yes.
Fatigue, what level was it before this program? 10's or worse?
Say consistently 6 or 7.
And now?
Occasionally I'll have 3 at the end of the day where I'm like, okay, but my sleep is restful. I'm not waking up fatigued.
So sleep really improved.
Yes. Oh, sleep is hugely improved as I was waking up several times a night. I was waking up a lot to go to the bathroom, a lot of bathroom trips for number 1. And ironically, what cured it was drinking a bunch of water. Who would have thought that drinking a bunch of water every day would make me have to pee less and not have to pee in the middle of the night? I will say that when I first got diagnosed, Dr. Maggie still had her practice or where she saw patients about 4 months. And then she changed her format to this. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to take that plunge. I remember you told me at the time, you may have learned what you needed to know, or you may find that you want to pursue this later. And so I kept it in the back of my mind. I was on Facebook and I pop in from now and then. But for whatever reason, I decided in September to do the water challenge. And it was amazing. I saw the results within a couple of days. And then that was when I talked to my husband and said, I need to do this. He told me how proud he was of me, of all the work I've done on my health. And you can really see a difference. So that was very sweet. At first, I actually thought he was being kind of, like teasy because I do feel like it's, it was a lot of work. It was like having kind of another job doing the mindset work and everything that was involved, because I was going not only to my mastermind meetings, I would go to all the mastermind meetings.
You're like, if there's 2 calls I could go to and they're optional, I'm going.
Yes. So they were like, how many of these do you have? And I said, well, 2 that I have to go to, but I'm going to all of them. And so I thought maybe he was teasing me about all, but he said, no, I'm serious. I'm really proud of you. So that was really sweet.
Wow.
And thank you, because you made that possible with this program to kind of give him his old wife back, but better, like 2.0.
Okay. Wife 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think a noticeable change of things that you can do now that maybe 2 months ago you thought was impossible?
Well, because the fatigue was a big thing for me.
Mm.
And so there were just a lot of times I just didn't have the energy to do much. And now I'm able to clean or go walk the dog. I'm doing all these things and having energy to spare. I'm having the energy to pursue recipes and do more cooking. And I'm making my own gluten-free sourdough bread every week. And I'm making my own non-dairy milk. So I'm doing things that before were like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I had the time and energy? I had the time, I just didn't have the energy.
Well, the thing is, I can tell you guys, those of you who are watching the audience, Lorrie's an inspiration in the program, encouraging others and teaching others cooking techniques and how-tos. I mean, you're not just doing this, you're actually teaching others and inspiring others in the program how to do it as well. So you've been a joy supporting Allie in the nutritional calls with all your input and recipes and techniques you've been sharing.
It was a lot of fun. And also that's where my background, working in a store that has more of a natural foods focus. So I knew a lot of products that a lot of people that are new to maybe having, they found out with their food mapping that they can't do dairy. I'm more familiar with a lot of those things, or different grains that aren't gluten and that kind of thing. So,
I mean, Lorrie, let's go through just to finalize some of the results, because you went from a fatigue level of 7 to a level 3.
Yes.
You said you had digestive issues with diarrhea, gas, and bloating. What happened to diarrhea, gas, and bloating? Just to clarify on that.
Every so often I'll have a little diarrhea, but gas and bloating are gone.
And what caused that to happen?
Other than the water, digest it. I realized I wasn't making the stomach acid to properly digest my food and get my nutrients out of it. So a lot of things were just going through me. And so the digested's been huge. The hormone supplements have been awesome. So that's the other thing is that, so I went from being like cold all the time to like right now, I'm known for my vests. Yeah. Right now I could take this off. Like
let's see you do it. Let's see you do it.
That will actually make me more comfortable. But I actually am warm. I am warm for the first time in so long. And so part of it is that I have the energy to move. And also I just think that my hormones are balanced and everything is working.
Well, let's talk about feeling cold and feeling warm again. What do you think was the linchpin in that happening?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to find that my thyroid's working better.
Hell yes.
And also having the energy to move around. So I think if I were just still sitting all day because I didn't have any energy to do anything, I probably wouldn't be as warm. But also I just have natural warmth and warmth from actually doing shit.
Movement. So Raynauds, a lot of people don't realize, is actually artery spasms in the fingers and in the toes. That can be extremely painful.
My hands are nice and warm right now. My feet are never warm. My feet are warm right now. And I'm not wearing my fuzzy boots.
Raynaud symptoms basically resolving.
Yes.
I love that. Okay. And
I mean, I'll be interested to see what happens when we have some really cold weather.
Okay.
But even when we've gone out and walked the dog in the evening and it's been cold, when my hands and feet have gotten cold, but when I come back in, I'm not having to run them under hot water. I'm able to get that going back again without taking extreme measures.
I mean, Lorrie, you've had Hashis for a long time. So my question is, can you maybe share with the audience what's one or two things you learned about your thyroid in the program that shocked the hell out of you, that really helped cause these changes?
Basically, that my autoimmune attack was all of my hormone making organs was because I knew about the thyroid. And then I also, through the program, also found out I had PCOS. So knowing that my pancreas, my insulin producing
pancreas
and my ovaries,
adrenals,
and my thyroid were all
thyroid, all hormone making organs that look just like thyroid, all under autoimmune attack.
Yes.
Boom.
It's been amazing to find that just making some lifestyle changes has done for my thyroid what going to a naturopath and just doing a bunch of supplements and making changes, but more in the way like whack-a-mole, where it was like, oh, well, maybe I'll try. I can't tell you how many detox, elimination diets I tried, trying to find out, because my digestion would get so bad. And then I would just cut everything out and do this elimination diet. And then I felt like you reintroduce, and I could never find what the thing was. And ironically, we found out that almonds are a problem for me.
Well, let's talk about that. Well, how is food mapping different than anything else you've ever done? First of all, it's the first question. We'll talk about how the results of food mapping was different than anything you've ever done. How's food mapping different than anything you've ever done?
So food mapping told me exactly what the things were. So when I do an elimination diet, it would be like all nuts. So then it's really hard to know. The only thing I reacted to is almonds. So that's really hard to find when you reintroduce nuts.
One nut.
It's one nut. Yeah, one nut that I had an issue with. And then also with the food mapping, I knew from personal experience that there was some dairy issues that I had.
Right.
But now I know exactly what part of the dairy of the cow. And so there's a possibility that hard cheese might not be. So I'm going to be reintroducing that in a little while. But mostly I was having cream in my coffee. So obviously when I cut out dairy, I'm not having cream in my coffee, I feel better. But now I know maybe I can do some Parmesan, which as a cook opens up some doors for me. Maybe I could have some aged Gouda with my husband with our apple slices. So just that precision of exactly what, and also the food mapping gave me the peace of mind of seeing all the things that my body was completely fine with. I no longer had to worry about maybe I shouldn't be having quinoa or whatever. No, those are fine.
You definitely should be having quinoa.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, unless if I had like an IgG response to something, obviously, then, that's IgE response. If I, started to have tongue swelling or something, I wouldn't have that thing anymore.
Half our audience is like, what the hell are you talking about? IgE, IgG, IgA, IgM. What are you talking
about? Do the
about?
program and you'll know all.
I know. There's a science behind this.
Yes. And that was the thing, is it felt scientific. You were able to explain all of the things in a way that made sense. Not only learned about ourselves, but the other people that were doing the program as well. And I don't want to give anything away too much, but if you have an autoimmune condition, your children, if you have them, have a greater chance of developing that. So being able to learn what other people are going through gives you insight to what maybe is happening inside your house, not with you, but with another family member. So that was huge.
I love that.
Or your parents, because you probably have a parent or grandparent, somebody else who has also some autoimmunity.
It's as if you're listening to what I said about how when you are the generation that does something about your autoimmunity through this program, you minimum help 3 generations, because you're helping people in your generation, husband and friends, sisters, brothers, but you're helping the generation above you. I call a shit show of autoimmunity and inflammation issues. You're going to help, you see it. And then your generation below you are your kids. And that to me is the linchpin, because that's a huge opportunity, because you can kill Godzilla while he's an egg in your children before he even grows up.
I wished I'd done the program, although it didn't exist when they were little, but now that they're teenagers, it's kind of hard we've had some discussions about, there's some things that you could do that would maybe make you feel better. But of course, at this point, they're like holding on to their Doritos. I'm being the example. So not the cautionary tale, I'm the example. And hopefully they will realize like, oh, I remember now mom used to be really tired and now she has energy again. So maybe she has a point.
Well, that's the other thing I teach is like 2 strongest ways with which we influence our children is not by telling them what to do. That doesn't work, people. It's only by being an example or being a warning.
Yeah.
We've all been warnings. I've been a warning for my children. And I know what that looks like. I know what that feels like. And I know the results.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I made the decision to be the generation that's the pattern interrupt and became the example myself that I had any influence over what happened with my kids. So that is, to me, a huge opportunity. People don't understand. It's like, they're like, don't do the program for yourself. Think about doing this for your kids.
Yeah.
And not just their future autoimmunity, but what about the quality of their lives? And that's my question to you.
I wish, of course, that there wasn't knowledge of any of this, but the endometriosis, I know I had in my early teens.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, if I had a daughter who was that age that I would be able to help that.
Yeah. Were you there today, earlier, or even last week when I was going over in one of the mastermind calls? I was just teaching for a few minutes just about what are the targets that have very estrogen sensitive receptors throughout your body. And here are all the symptoms, signs, and family history and your own history that can show that you clearly have an estrogen overreceptor problem. Even know that, and to put that down on a piece of paper, what that list is, and to look at that with your kids, to see that in your children. 30 years before they need a hysterectomy. Like, what would that mean? Because you can actually stop and intervene that.
My mom didn't understand when I had all the pain because I did not get those things from her. She never had cramps. She didn't know what that was like. So she actually thought I was talking about constipation when I told her how I felt. And my husband was baffled. He said, your mother never had cramps. He said, I thought all women did. So, that's how normalized this is. That my husband just thought that every woman has painful periods. And now here I am for the first time ever not having painful periods.
So you taught him from a very young age for him to go to Rite Aid and Walgreens to shop for tampons for all the ladies in the family.
It's just really funny. He comes from a family of boys, merely just what he's gotten from friends. And his wife was just that, oh, periods are terrible. They hurt. And no, it's just what women have to go through. And so it's nice to be like, no, we don't actually, for the most part, if your hormones are balanced, they're not too bad. But if your hormones are not balanced, then they're hell.
That's right. Love that.
It kind of makes me want to go on forums where women are talking about these things and say, get your hormones checked.
But that isn't alone the solution.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, You go on a forum, you tell them to get their hormones checked. They're going to go beg their doctors to check their hormones, who isn't going to order it and who doesn't know jack shit what to do with the information.
That is true.
Right?
But, I mean, I learned things about hormones that I've never heard anybody else say that make total sense. And obviously are accurate because I followed it. And like I said, I have had periods for 40 years and they've been painful for most of it. And now I'm not having pain. So
booyah.
It works.
It goes in the annuals of Dr. U recommends SHIT that works.
That's right.
It's so funny. I'm so used to having kids and having used to spell everything. Now everybody's like, Mom, I can spell, you know. And I also think if I spell it, somehow I'm not getting it censored on Facebook or anywhere else.
What is it the kids say now? Ish. You only recommend ish that works.
Oh, should I say that instead?
That's what the kids say. But once adults start saying it, then they'll be like, no.
This goes in the annuals of Dr. Maggie just recommends ish that works.
That's right.
So you mentioned something about seeing naturopaths, seeing doctors before. I mean, and I practiced in a clinical setting before. And so I know that when we transitioned this program 4 years ago, gosh, almost five at this point, I was doing something that was impossible for me to accomplish in a clinic setting, to be honest, because it is an educational model that's in a group-based online platform. That's a community-based program.
It's a master class.
It really is for a 2-month time frame. I couldn't achieve that level of education and do it in that time frame with people's actual results and get outcomes like that in clinic. That's why I ended up starting this program, right? And
like I was saying, part of it is we wouldn't get that experience of learning from the other, even though I wasn't really submitting questions to the first mastermind. I was learning so much from hearing you go over other people's testing or answering other people's questions that you would miss that if all you were talking about was yourself.
Well, I tell people, would you want to be huddled in a corner for 10, 15 minutes with your doctor once every 6 weeks or 6 months? And if you add it all the time together, which up to that point you had, the first 2-hour mastermind call that you were on, people have told me that the total amount of learning that they've done in all that point in their life, far just one mastermind call, have far exceeded the totality of all of those visits in educational content and results.
I would agree.
But that's hard for people to believe outside when they have never experienced what online group learning is like.
It was amazing, really. I would just recommend it to anybody who's just ready to feel better.
What would you say was your favorite thing about the program or working with me or with my team? What would you say would be the favorite thing?
I really looked forward to the mastermind calls. The modules were great and all of the information in there, but I loved the interaction of the mastermind. It was a great team experience and it was like being in a master class. And so it's a very unique opportunity.
Lorrie, I tell people, on your first mastermind call, there's a quick orientation with me. And I tell you, hey, if I do my job right, which I always do, at the end of this is a master's level program in how to think like me.
Yes.
Not here's the answers and memorize it. I'm teaching a skill of how to think like me. If I do my job right, which I always do, at the end, you're going to learn how to think like me and be able to troubleshoot through 90% of any health issues and concerns that you have or your family have. That's a tall order. That's a big promise. That's a much harder promise than I'm going to give you some answers on your autoimmune disease.
Yeah. Well, and that was part of being in the group is that you would encourage us. Well, what do you think to us before you would answer? And so as you get into the program and you learn more and you're coming up with the right answers, it feels really good it does. We're learning to think like you.
I love that. Quick question. Do you think there's any way with trying to hire or find additional local providers over the next 5-10 years that you'd be able to replicate the amount of education, results, outcome that you had over just the past 2 months?
No, it's like you said, you wouldn't be able to spend that kind of time. I can't imagine how much it would be to spend that kind of time and go that in depth with somebody else. Does that make sense? It's a unique program.
Okay. What was the biggest reason why you almost didn't join?
Money. I ended up getting a loan from my dad because, your parents are always there for you. Because he knew all the stuff that was going on. And so it's kind of a big deal to say, okay, I'm going to take out this loan and it's going to take me a while to pay it back. But I was just finally at that point where I felt like I was ready. Mm-hmm. And I believed that was when I was ready. I think I needed to kiss some frogs first.
Yeah.
And also, I think when you do the whack-a-mole and it doesn't work, then you are able to put that at rest. And maybe if I hadn't done that, I would, still think, oh, maybe somebody else knows something. But I've already been out there and I know that, there are people that have had some of the same ideas as you, like here and here, but not all integrated together, mm-hmm. if that makes sense.
It does.
And hopefully I know what I need to know in order to keep this trajectory of staying healthy.
Well, how would you answer that? If there's in a future, there's another Lorrie, there's 20 Lorries out there watching right now. Yeah. They have the same objection, which is, I don't think I should spend the money on this. How would you respond to Lorrie sitting out there right now?
I can say as somebody who waited like 3.5 years, I spent a lot of money in that 3.5 years chasing a lot of other things that didn't really work. The way that you explained everything, you knew why you were doing the things that you were doing. And a lot of other programs, I feel like it's just do these things and it's not broken down into the why. Mm-hmm. It's not explained how you integrate out, a lot of those things, if that makes sense. So yeah, every cleanse that I did, that involved money, usually also signing up with somebody else, all the appointments and testing. I did a lot of chasing antibodies, just a lot of things that were just spinning my wheels. So that was the thing is that, and from my diagnosis to when I come into your program, I would say my symptoms didn't necessarily get worse. They were just not getting better. So all of that money I spent was just to maintain this feeling shitty. Mm. I wasn't to the point of, I have a friend that has lupus that she can't work. So I wasn't on disability, wasn't that, but it was just, I had enough energy to do the minimum. And then that was it. And I didn't want to do that. I'm going to be 50 next year. I want to have energy. I want to do stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have a day I have to recover every week after working because I'm too tired to do anything. This is what used to be our recovery day.
I love that.
So
it kind of reminds me of an analogy that people put into like financial advisors. We talk to someone like, what is your return on investment?
Yes.
If someone said you're going to pay $9,000 and the money's going to sit there over the next 3 years and do nothing. At the end of the 3 years, you're just exactly where you are. And that 10,000 is gone, whatever the amount is.
That was exactly what I did.
That's investment number one, right? Investment number two, they'll say, put the same amount of money and over a 2-month time frame, you're going to have this return on an investment of where you're at right now. Right? That's the exact same proposition.
Yeah.
It is hard for people to unpack because those numbers look exactly the same on the front end.
Yeah.
One is a really shitty investment because it's not. You're losing it at the end just to be it's sitting in the same place. Yeah. The other one is a much shorter time frame, which much greater outcome and results. And what are those results worth?
So I guess I could be their cautionary tale is that if you don't do this program, the best you can hope for is to just stay in the same boat. And man, those cleanses and elimination diets are tough. Even the things that were challenging, it was still enjoyable. It wasn't torture. It wasn't about deprivation because maybe then you'll feel better. It was about actually finding out what you need.
When it worked.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I don't recommend ish that don't work.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of doctors, it's just like, everybody just get this.
You're right. And for me, it's really important to personalize these approaches, but not only that, but to teach you how to figure out all these different Why would person A, B, C all have the same pattern, but why would A, B, C do a different supplement or a different lifestyle change?
Right.
There is a lot of personalization involved.
That was so great about the masterminds, was seeing that and seeing people maybe that had the same thing, but different stages. So then it's like, well, you're doing this, then that's why this is needed. Yeah. So it was nice to know that the money I was spending was actually doing something.
I love that.
And it wasn't just a hope and a prayer.
No, I say we start with hope for breakfast. We end the day with the results and outcomes.
Yes.
It also goes right there with my second phrase, which is I laugh at danger.
Well, it's funny because when you said that about breakfast, I was thinking every morning I used to start the day with coffee. And now I rarely even have coffee. I have this energy without even having to drink coffee. That's the other thing. Never thought that would be. It's not that you didn't tell me I couldn't. I wasn't allergic or anything. I just
don't need it.
I just don't need it.
Right. Then it's a choice if you want to drink it.
Yeah.
Not dependency of another crutch.
Right.
This program is not about crutches. It's about fixing the root cause that's causing the problem. So you don't need those crutches anymore.
It's just sort of funny because it would be interesting to talk to the girl that was me 2 months ago and just say, oh, these are things that are going to happen, and see if I would have believed it.
Would you have believed it?
You could have coffee anytime you want, but you're just not going to want to. It's not going to be the thing. I would have said, no way. I always like coffee.
I'd be like, come on, that's the easy shit to get off. You're not going to need it. You're going to be like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and now it's like, oh, well, or maybe I'll have green tea, and that's lovely. And actually is doing something better for me. So
I like it. We're almost at the end, but since we are behind the scenes, maybe I'll ask an out of the box question.
Okay.
What's something that you know about me from being behind the scenes through our program now that people outside the program may not know?
I know, and maybe people outside the program would know, like, you've been where we are. You're not just a doctor who thought it'd be fun to learn about this stuff. Like, you learned it for you. And everything that you teach us is something that you learned trying to heal on your autoimmune journey. Yeah. So it's very personal. It feels like a very personal relationship with you, even though you're our teacher, but you know where we all have been.
So this is something interesting, Lorrie, because you did see me a couple of times in clinic before I actually closed the clinic and started this online program. And you've been in this program for 2 months. And this is honest. I feel like I know you 10,000 times better through the past 2 months working online with you than I ever have.
That's true. Because it is, like I said, it is like a team. You get to know everybody.
Yeah.
And you were like our coach or teacher. You were imparting wisdom. And sometimes you had to just tell it like it was.
Yeah.
But there were no lies. And there were no lies told. Just sometimes I think the mindset piece. Huge. And it's so hard when you've had autoimmunity. A lot of people have pain or fatigue that you just don't like. I can't ever be healed. Focus on the things that are happening that are negative and not seeing the things that are positive.
Yeah, we have blinders.
And those positive changes, as you focus on those, really start to build and build. And it's not like, oh, you're just not focusing on that pain, but it's still there. It actually, the pain, the fatigue, those things just start to go away as you're focusing on the positive changes that you're making to change your mindset about other things and having boundaries, things that you don't necessarily think of as being related to autoimmunity is all a part of your holistic health.
I was trying to remember, because I don't know, you're usually Wednesday morning call, right?
Yes.
Were you on this Wednesday morning? You're on last Wednesday morning, right?
As of Sunday, I'm in the alumni group.
So you saw last Wednesday morning, actually, a pretty tense interaction.
Yes.
And it was about mindset.
Yes.
Right. And the person was saying that I have nothing that I can celebrate. And I called her on it straight up. And I said, hey, you know what? There is a whole hell of thousands of people who didn't wake up this morning who wish they could. And so to say that you have no wins whatsoever, not even one win that you could celebrate today, I think you're not looking for anything other than what's wrong. Like, you're not looking for it. The fact that you're alive, you woke up, is a win, because you know what? My mom didn't wake up, and
Right.
I sure as hell wish she did. And I'm sure she does too, right? And interestingly, you didn't see the same person this week. And I wish you did. She had 2 giant wins, biggest smile on her face.
That's awesome.
And she said, I shifted, and she was celebrating, wins with her daughter. She was celebrating that she was moving pain-free, walking around. I mean, it was like the first time I've seen her lit up and alive, awake, like she saw it.
I wish I'd seen that. I mean, that's the thing, is it's possible. You just let yourself believe it.
Yeah. I'm so proud of it.
Yeah.
You should have seen her today. She shifted, and her results completely manifested, completely different results than she did the last couple of weeks.
And I know that still the mindset is the big thing for me to continue working on, because I fell into the people pleaser category.
Yeah.
And so that's when, I won't get too personal, but I have some pushback from a very close family member. They told me they hoped that my children never had boundaries with them. And I wanted to say, I hope they do, because that means that I didn't raise people pleasers who need to put boundaries with me, because we respect each other's boundaries. But I did not say that on the outside.
You just knew the truth.
Yes, that is still the piece for me. And I knew it all during the program. I could get through the modules, and it was always the mindset piece that was like, okay, now I got to do that.
The most important piece.
It's just more challenging, but it's important.
Well, the biggest place of challenge is your biggest place of opportunity.
Yes.
Period.
And I'm seeing improvement. And I'm sure that has also an impact of where I am now.
Hell yeah.
It's not a coincidence that I have more energy and feeling better, all just the physical things. I do recognize that.
Well, Lorrie, thank you so much for sharing your journey with me. And
thank you for having this program and being awesome.
That was an incredible interview. And so many people are struggling with severe hormonal symptoms, right? And a lot of people don't even understand the connection of digestive issues, sleep, other hormonal changes, along with Hashimoto's. If you know someone like Lorrie, or you are a Lorrie, go ahead and give us a comment in the bottom. Tell me about it. Tell us about it. If you know someone who can benefit from watching this video, they may not listen to you, they may not listen to me, but they might listen to Lorrie. Put their name in the comment section above, because raising awareness is huge in helping turn around autoimmunity. So thank you for watching. And if you're interested in learning more about our program, there's a link above to chat our team. You can also join our Facebook group, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. Thanks, everybody.